Evening. Our top stories tonight. What a Super Bowl that was. What an incredible game. What a crazy result. Hopefully, the winner is the team that you were rooting for. Of course, this is a pre record, and I don't know the winner, but I do know that the winner next year of the Super Bowl will be the Detroit Lions. Yes, that's right. I'm on vacation right now. I am off, but the fun does not stop at Player Profiler Today. We are still here 7 days a week at 7 p.m. Eastern to bring you everything you need to know. And we are continuing our off-season plans for all these teams. We are breaking down what every team needs to do throughout the offseason of 2023, giving you a little bit of a preview for every team. And of course, why not? What better way to start my time off than with my Detroit Lions? We're going to be talking about their cap space. We're going to be talking about Jared Goff and his future, all that and much, much more on Player Profiler Today. So the Detroit Lions right now are riding high. They finished that past season, the 2022 season, with a marvelous end to the year. Had a chance at the playoffs, if not for those pesky refs favoring those pesky Seahawks. But let's be honest, Geno Smith deserved it. But let's also be honest. The Detroit Lions, if they make the playoffs, they give the 49ers a much better game. Maybe they even beat the 49ers. They also give the Giants and the Vikings much better game. They beat both the Vikings and the Giants, and they give the Eagles a better game than the Giants did. Would have been better if the Detroit Lions made the playoffs, but unfortunately they did not. But they're ahead of schedule. They are well ahead of schedule right now in Detroit, competing for that playoff spot. But how do they get there? Well, right now, they have $13.8 million in cap space. That is 11th in the NFL and 6th in the NFC. However, that immediately jumps up an extra $10 million as soon as Michael Brockers is cut from the team. Michael Brockers, he was part of that supplementary trade. So if you remember, the Rams traded Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, that trade, and then a little bit, or no, just before. It was just before. So setting up this trade for the two quarterbacks, Michael Brockers is traded for Ashawn Robinson, both veteran defensive tackles. There's a pick swap in there. I can't remember exactly what happened, but Michael Brockers comes over to Detroit, not voted a captain back-to-back years, and then this year, all of a sudden, he is just a healthy scratch game after game, and that's because he just didn't have it. He did not have the physicality, the ability at this point to hang with the modern Detroit Lions. And this is not a shot at Michael Brockers. Michael Brockers offered a lot to the Lions off of the field in the locker room as a leader, but just on the field, he couldn't get it done. And the Lions are no longer going to be a place where veterans can go to just coast or retire. You have to be ready to compete as a Detroit Lion going forward. So Michael Brockers, he's going to be cut. And then they have to make a decision. They're either going to cut Romeo Okwara, the edge rusher, or Charles Harris. Both of them are edge rushers. It seems unlikely to keep both Romeo Okwara and Charles Harris when you've got James Houston, Aiden Hutchinson, and Josh Pascal. Plus, you're probably re-signing John Kaminsky. He wants to be back there. So that's 6 edge rushers already. More than likely, one of Romeo or Charles Harris gets cut. $7.5 million to cut Romeo Okwara, but $7 million in dead money. $4 million to cut Charles Harris, $4 million in dead money. And then a decision has to be made about Hal Vaitai, the right guard who didn't play this season because of a back injury. They can cut him, save $6.5 million. That's a $5.8 million dead cap. But then who starts at right guard? Because Evan Brown is a free agent. So I don't know which of these moves are going to be made. We know for sure Michael Brockers will be cut. We have to assume that one of these edge rushers will be cut. But after that, there's still plenty of other options to free up cap for the Detroit Lions. They can restructure Jared Goff, free up $12 million, up to $12 million. They can restructure Taylor Decker, their left tackle, free up to $8.5 million. Or their center, Frank Ragnow, Pro Bowler, they can restructure him, save $7.9 million. So all things told, with Okwara being cut, they would be $31.3 million in cap space. If they cut Harris, then it's 27.8. Either way, they are the 8th team in the NFL in cap space or the 5th. Or no, sorry. Yeah, regardless. They're going to be 8th in cap or the 5th after just those two moves. But they can save even more. I mentioned a Jared Goff restructure, but why not a Jared Goff extension? Because he's pretty much out of guaranteed money. They can save $19 million this year, though, this is the last year where Goff has guaranteed money. They could cut him and it wouldn't mess up the cap. That was the whole thing going into the season. Well, if Jared Goff stinks, you can just cut him and it takes some cap hit, but it's fine. It's not a long-term commitment to Jared Goff. But now, after what we saw Jared Goff do at the end of the season, knowing that he came over with the general manager, he was brought in not to be a bridge quarterback. That was said from the beginning. And now Jared Goff plays very well for the Lions, leads one of the best offenses in the NFL, and they can save $19 million by extending Jared Goff. But should they? Should they extend Jared Goff? Should they free up that cap space? Should they commit to Jared Goff down the road? Or, as Cody Carpentier has mentioned, they could draft a quarterback at 6th overall because they have the Rams pick. They also have 18th overall. So if they don't draft CJ Stroud, Will Levis, or Bryce Young, maybe they draft an Anthony Richardson project type. They have options if they want to make a move at quarterback. But all signs are pointing to the Lions being all in on Jared Goff and wanting to build the team around him, build up the defense, continue to invest in the offensive line, get skill positions. They've got the money to do it. They've got the draft capital to do it. And so I think the Lions are going to stick with Jared Goff. And so exactly who is Jared Goff at this point? Because we saw Jared Goff stunk with Jeff Fisher. And then Sean McVay made him made him the leader of one of the most exciting offenses in the NFL. And then he lost the Super Bowl. And then it was all downhill from here. Jared Goff just kind of got weird and funky and moody and just couldn't put it together. Sean McVay stopped trusting him. But now he's in Detroit. He has refound his confidence in a team that believes in him. And so he is 6th in the NFL in yards and attempts and 5th in touchdown passes this past year. He is 5th in adjusted yards per attempt. So he's very efficient, not just the counting stats. He is 11th in clean pocket completion percentage, 7th in deep ball completion percentage, and 12th in play action completion percentage. These are all just things that make a good quarterback. But Jared Goff is still Jared Goff. Jared Goff, 33rd in the NFL in pressured completion percentage. When Jared Goff is under pressure, he crumbles. And this is something we've known about Jared Goff for years. So this is something that they will always have to keep in mind as long as Jared Goff is the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. But the good news is they've got bookend tackles signed for the foreseeable future. They've got a Pro Bowl center, a Pro Bowl left guard, and they just have that right guard that they have to figure out whether they bring back Hal Vaitai, whether they re-sign Evan Brown. But Jared Goff will be protected, so he won't be under pressure a ton. And he's got the weapons to check it down when he needs to. So Jared Goff, vastly improved. And that's exactly why he's going to stick around as the quarterback of the Detroit Lions for 2023, for 2024. And at this point, unless something crazy happens beyond, don't be surprised, because we hear all the news that Daniel Jones is going to receive a $37 million contract this offseason. So don't be surprised when Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, for that matter, both end up signing contracts that are worth $40 million a year. That's just what quarterback goes for as the salary cap continues to climb higher and higher. And this is truly the tier breaking of these quarterbacks, because Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, they're all going to command ridiculous money this offseason, all going to be getting about $50 million per year. We know Joe Burrow is going to take a team-friendly deal, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Is it the guaranteed side? We don't know. Is he going to restructure? Is he going to put incentives in it? I don't know. But we're starting to see the second tier of quarterback. We're going to have the top quarterbacks getting paid about $50 million a year. And then the Jared Goffs, the Kirk Cousins, the Daniel Jones, $35 to $40 million. And that is okay. That will allow the Lions to continue to build around Jared Goff and potentially reach the playoffs with a defense that they will be investing in heavily as well throughout the draft. As you can imagine, they really need to shore up that interior. But going from the Lions, who were hapless for years, For years, the Lions were the joke of the NFL. And then all of a sudden, they kind of became relevant. They had Jim Schwartz for a little bit, kind of made a push with him. And then all of a sudden, they bring in Jim Caldwell, and this is a team that's pushing for the playoffs. All of a sudden, the Lions, 9-7 isn't good enough. So we fire Jim Caldwell, we bring in Matt Patricia, and it all starts over. They become the butt of the NFL again. But now with Dan Campbell, the right guy is in place. Don't be surprised when the Detroit Lions not only are in the playoffs, but they're winning the NFC North next year, with the Vikings taking a step back with their defense continuing to age and problems with the salary cap. And the Bears are a long way off to being where the Lions are. And the Packers are going to be without Aaron Rodgers. He hasn't announced it yet. Probably won't announce it for a while because Aaron Rodgers is just that guy. He's going to have his darkness retreat. And he's probably going to do some other stuff just to keep the joke going. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, you silly man, you silly man. But hey, whatever. It's his prerogative. I can't judge him too hard for it. Well, yes, I can judge him very hard for it. But anyways, as a Detroit Lions fan, as a Detroit Lions reporter with Believe in Lions, where I talked to former All-Pro safety with the Detroit Lions, Glover Quinn, looking at the team needs for the Lions. Obviously, they need a running back because Jamal Williams, the heartbeat of the team, if he walks away in free agency, then they're going to need a second running back to go alongside DeAndre Swift. And Justin Jackson won't be it because Justin Jackson, he's a free agent. Maybe they re-sign him. As of now, though, just DeAndre Swift and Craig Reynolds at running back. But the good news is, Lions fans, that I expect Jamal Williams to be back. Jamal Williams, he is going to have offers. He's going to have suitors, but Jamal Williams has basically said that we're taking the North. We, as in me and the Lions, are taking the NFC North. Jamal Williams wants to be back. Those contract discussions are already underway. And I have to imagine we'll be happy when we see those numbers. Just one of the best guys in the NFL getting paid. Just how can you not be happy for Jamal Williams? Breaking the record, getting paid. He deserves it. This man deserves all the good things that come his way. Now at wide receiver, they might need some help, but it depends. What do they view Jameson Williams as? What do they view DJ Chark as? Because for the Lions, that X receiver position was kind of a stretch role. We had DJ Chark on the outside, but a downfield threat. Most offenses, it's kind of the Z that is the downfield threat. And that was the case a little bit for the Lions too. Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond, they made some plays downfield, especially Khalif Raymond. But really, DJ Chark, he was a stretch X for the Detroit Lions. And that's exactly what Jameson Williams can be. And you'll see people saying, well, I'd be worried about Jameson Williams. He only had one reception. He also had one called back. Well, he had 9 targets and only 1 reception. Well, okay, but did you see that reception? And did you see the one that got called back? And did you see the underthrown balls by Jared Goff while he was streaking to the end zone? And did you see the 40-plus yard end around? No. Jameson Williams is legit. He very well might be the most talented wide receiver from last year's class. And yes, that includes offensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year, Garrett Wilson. Jameson Williams might be more talented. He might be more explosive. He's just great. So I wouldn't worry about him. My only question is, does that mean the Lions roll out with stretch X Jameson Williams with in the slot, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then a rotation at Z between Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond? Or do they go after a lower tier wide receiver in free agency? Or do they target one in the draft? There's lots of options for the Detroit Lions. I don't think DJ Chark is back ultimately. I thought he could be, but when you look at this free agent market for wide receivers, DJ Chark's going to get paid way too much for the Lions to bring him back. He's going to get overpaid. And this is no fault on DJ Chark. He deserves to be overpaid after what he went through with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He deserves to be overpaid. I just don't think it'll be by the Detroit Lions unless he takes a hometown deal to stay. The offensive line we've mentioned, have to figure out their right guard situation and depth on the interior because Evan Brown, he's a free agent. He was their starter at right guard, was supposed to be their backup center, really was their backup center. When Frank Ragnow missed a game, Evan Brown went in for him. Tight end, Could see an improvement at tight end. They've got 3 young guys that they like there, and they had some success. Tight end wasn't funnily enough, Ben Johnson elevated from tight end coach. Tight end really wasn't a big part of his offense until he was down near the goal line. That's so much to the point that they traded TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, which gives them another draft pick to continue to load up on. Because Lions have their first round pick, they have the Rams' first round pick, they have a second round pick for themselves, and they have the Vikings' second round pick as well. So that is 5 picks in the top 60. That's 4 picks in the top 60 and 5 picks in the top 90. The Detroit Lions are just stacked to rebuild this team, to rebuild this defense. They can draft a second D tackle, which they need to play alongside Aleem McNeil, whether it's nose, whether it's 3 tech, doesn't matter. Probably a 3 tech, a pass rusher, so Aleem McNeil can play his true nose position, but you got to replace Isaiah Buggs. You got to find a replacement at inside linebacker for Alex Anzalone. And maybe that's Derek Barnes, that's in-house. And you got to figure out safety too, because at safety, we have Tracy Walker, who tore his Achilles, and he will take some time to get back. I do believe in him, but Deshaun Elliott, he's a free agent. So you either have to re-sign Deshaun Elliott to play alongside and help Tracy Walker ease back in, or you have to figure something else out, bring someone else in. A lot of options for the Detroit Lions, but these are all good problems to have. Looking at this offense, as I broke down for you, it sure looks complete. We got our quarterback back, Jared Goff. We got DeAndre Swift back. Jamal Williams, free agent, probably coming back. So we're set there. Jameson Williams really could be an upgrade on DJ Chark. And I doubt they leave the wide receiver room as is. They'll add to it, I'm sure, or bring DJ Chark back. But either way, Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the dynasty wide receiver 6 for us here at Player Profiler. The man is just phenomenal. He is a target machine, and that is not going to stop. Amon-Ra St. Brown is just younger, more explosive Keenan Allen. Love Amon-Ra St. Brown. And this offensive line is set. I keep telling you, they are going to be set for years. They're going to pay Jonah Jackson this offseason, extend him beyond 2023. And then they'll have everyone locked in together, except this right guard position where Hal Vaitai, the decision must be made. I ultimately do think if the medicals check out, they bring him back, draft or sign someone to be depth, prepared to start. You're going to have to pay top dollar for a backup, and maybe that's why Vaitai ends up getting cut, is because your backup needs to be able to start. But we'll see. Lions are in a really good position, though. And this is one of the things. With Jared Goff being the type of quarterback he is, where everything needs to be perfect around him, when you make things perfect around him, like we can see here, he's going to succeed. And as long as they continue to be responsible with the salary cap and continue to manage it appropriately, not worried about Jared Goff being the starter of the Detroit Lions for the foreseeable future, the way that they have built this team. And looking at the defense, they're sitting pretty good as well. There's a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not overhyping the Detroit Lions defense. There is a lot of improvements that need to be made. But based on what we saw early in the season towards the end, that was massive. Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to continue to get better. He's either going to be playing across from James Houston, who I was shocked to find out played fewer snaps than Josh Paschal, even though Josh Paschal missed significant time with injury. And they could decide that Josh Paschal is that edge 2 opposite Aiden Hutchinson, that base edge. Maybe they let John Kaminsky walk. But either way, that's a solid start. Bring in a free agent or a pass rusher in the draft. Maybe Tyree Wilson falls to the Lions at 6. Bring in one in free agency. The Lions are sitting well right now. It's just the interior. Isaiah Buggs, he was a true nose tackle, which forced Aleem McNeil to play as their 3 tech. And Benito Jones, also a true nose tackle. So the Lions were thick up the middle, but had absolutely no pass rush. That's why John Kaminsky had to kick inside so often. Their hope is that Levi Onwuzurike can come back from his multiple back injuries. I wouldn't be too optimistic, though. Whenever a player misses this much time earlier in their career, you treat it as they are not a part of our future, and anything they can give us is just extra. So you got to have a plan for a pass rush on the interior. You either have to re-sign Alex Anzalone, or you got to be really, really comfortable with Derek Barnes stepping into that. He'd probably be, would he be Mike? Would he be Will? I don't know what they would do. Malcolm Rodriguez would be the green star. He'd be calling the plays anyways. He's still probably stay in his Will position, but regardless, they either got to be really confident with what Derek Barnes showed this year, or you got to bring Alex Anzalone back, and I prefer that option. He's not going to be too expensive either. It's the secondary, though, where the Lions got to figure stuff out. Jeff Okudah, he is going into his 4th year, and they got to decide within the next couple months whether or not they're going to pick him up at his 5th-year option, $11 million. And Jerry Jacobs, he's been solid, undrafted rookie, 2nd year, ended his first season with a torn ACL, came back and played pretty well. But there was a lot of shuffling around this defensive backfield. Monty Aruaria, he started the season. He was the Pro Bowl snub. He led the league in interceptions and didn't make the Pro Bowl. And then you come back and find out, yeah, the reason he didn't make the Pro Bowl is because he was not as good as we thought. People saw through it. Coaches, players saw through it. Didn't get the interceptions, got benched. Now he's a free agent. So then they bring in Mike Hughes, who they signed from Kansas City, the former Viking starter, former Vikings first rounder. He was playing a little bit in the slot, a little bit outside. Will Harris, he was a 2nd-round pick for the Lions too, who started at safety early in his career and was moved into the slot. Just a lot of shuffling because things just couldn't work. And then Jeff Okudah missed time because he was sick, and then he had a concussion. So more stability will do wonders for this Detroit Lions backfield, especially at safety. If they can bring back Deshaun Elliott, have Elliott and Kirby Joseph, who is a star on the rise. Those 3 interceptions, 4 really of Aaron Rodgers, but 3 that actually counted. Kirby Joseph, a star. So Kirby Joseph, just so good. Kirby Joseph is so good that Aaron Rodgers had to flee the division. It's not official yet, but it's coming. He is going to be running away from Kirby Joseph and the Detroit Lions. So this Detroit Lions team, I know I'm biased. You know I'm biased. But you also know that I am right, that the Detroit Lions are sitting in just the most perfect position that they possibly could. Strike while the iron is hot and get all in on the Detroit Lions making a deep playoff run in 2023.